Hello friends, welcome to TechnoGeek SFDC. So in previous video we saw how you can do a call out from Salesforce, but in today's video we will see how you can expose Salesforce as a provider. So let's say you have some data present in the Salesforce and you want a third party system to fetch the data from Salesforce so that they can do the further processing in their system. So in this video we will see how you can expose the Salesforce data and how a third party system can use it. So let's say in our case, we will be using a software named as a Postman, by using which we will hit the endpoint of the Salesforce and we'll see how you can retrieve the data from Salesforce org. Okay. So before enabling Salesforce as a provider, we need to have a few prerequisites. Okay. So what are those prerequisites? One is your Salesforce user. So Salesforce is basically a user-based system. Okay, where anyone who has to have access to Salesforce data or who wants to go into Salesforce and see the do the business, they need to have a user present in the Salesforce system. Okay. Similarly, if you have to do an integration also in the Salesforce, you need to have a Salesforce user present in the system, by using which you will expose the data to the third party system. Okay, so first is your Salesforce user, which is a very important thing. Next is your connected app. So what connected app is? So connected app is basically a framework that allows external application to integrate with the Salesforce. So basically connected app provides you some auto-generated keys and some auto-generated text, by which is a secret text. Okay, by using which you can securely integrate with the server, with the Salesforce servers, and you can execute the APIs of the Salesforce servers to get the data, or basically to do the further processing if you want to do processing in Salesforce, or if you want to get some data from Salesforce. Okay, so that's where your connected apps are used. So two things, what is very much mandatory when you are doing integration with Salesforce, that is when you are enabling Salesforce as a provider. So what two things are? One is your Salesforce user, another one is your connected app. So we will see in our system how you can create a Salesforce user. I mean, you can use any existing user as well, or if you want, you create a new integration user which will be dedicated for the integration purpose. Okay, so usually in the big organization we have an integration user which is used to connect with different system whose credentials you will be using to connect with the different systems. Now, next step is we'll see how you can create a connected app in Salesforce. So for that, you can go to currently I am in class 6, so let me switch to Lightning. In Lightning, you can go to apps. Okay, in this app you can go to app manager. Here you will be having two options. One is new Lightning app and new connected app. So you can click on new connected app. Okay, so what will be the connected app name which you want to give? So let's say I'll give it as uh, video demo app, and it will be an API name. Contact email, I'll give my email address. There are a few other fields as well if you want to use, like you have contact phone, you have image and all you can upload. But in our case, we will be just filling up the or the required fields currently. Okay. Now, here we need to enable OAuth setting. Okay. So what OAuth setting is? So basically, whenever you do a REST call out from external system to Salesforce, it basically follows OAuth 2.0 flow. Okay. So that's where when you enable OAuth setting, here you need to provide the callback URL. So what callback URL is that whenever you are doing the integration and you successfully authenticated with the Salesforce, so where Salesforce should land you back. Okay, so after authentication, which will be your landing page, that is known as your callback URL. Okay, so in my case, I'll give callback URL as my no, my org homepage. Okay, so this I will give it as a home callback URL, that is my home.jsp. So this is what the callback URL I'm going to give. Okay. Next is your what is the OAuth scope? So basically, when you are using this connected app to integrate with Salesforce, what all accesses you want to give to the user who is accessing the data from Salesforce or who is accessing the Salesforce server. Okay, so what level of access you want to give to that particular user. Here you have a lot of options, like you can give analytic REST APIs, you can give connected REST APIs, forgot password access, you can give chatbot service access, you can give Visual Force application, Lightning application accesses. Okay, so in our case, we will select the full access. Just for testing purpose, we will select a full access. Okay, you have a lot of accesses based on your requirement. You can select which access you can go ahead with. Okay, so in our case, we will be using full access. Okay, next is you have couple of other options as well. There will be there will be some of the predefined values on that, like you have required secret for web server flow. If you have do you want a refresh token? So for refresh token you want the connected client ID and client secret. So those options you have enabled here. So based on how you want to configure your security, you can check or uncheck these checkboxes. Okay. Next is, okay, so we have created, so we have filled the basic details. So in this video, we are basically covering how you can first connect with the Salesforce and you can do the call out with the basic details. Okay, we will also be creating a video where we will be discussing all the options of connected apps in more detail. Okay, so let's say I have filled the basic required informations here. Okay, and if I click on save. So whenever you create a connected app, it takes some time to get created, or basically it takes some time to come into effect. Okay. Now, if you see after connecting the connected app, there is something called consumer key and consumer secret which you are seeing here. Okay. So if you click on manage consumer details, okay, so now it will ask for a verification code. Let me quickly check it. Okay, so this is what a consumer key and consumer secret looks like. Okay, so consumer key will be an alphanumeric big string. Similarly, your consumer secret will be again an alphanumeric big string here. Okay, so we will do one thing, we will copy this and we will keep it in our notepad. Okay, now we have created a connected app here. Okay, the user which we will be using is my normal logged in user, that is the user with which I logged in into the Salesforce org. Okay, so I'll be using the same user to do the connection. So now what we have our Salesforce user, we have our connected app. Now let's see how you can use Postman to connect with this particular Salesforce server or my Salesforce server. So so Postman basically comes in two variations. Basically you have uh, either a web application of the Postman or you can download the Postman as well. So in our case, I will go ahead with the web application. Okay. So if you don't have account, you will get an option to sign up for free. So you can just use your Google account to sign up and you will be getting the access to Postman. Okay. So once you log in into Postman, you will get a screen something like this, what you're seeing on the UI on the screen. On the workspace, you will be having a lot of workspace. If you want to create, you can create your own separate workspace as well. Okay, so I'll be using my workspace. Okay, now I already have tested earlier, so I'll show you how you can use it. So basically, whenever you have to do a call out, or basically whenever you have to connect with your Salesforce, or let's say you are a third party system, a Java application, okay, and if you want to connect with your Salesforce system, or let's say any third Salesforce system to get the data, okay, so there are few things which you need to pass as a post method. Okay, so post method we already discussed in our previous video. You can check, the link will be flashing somewhere on the top right side. Okay, so you will be sending a post method along with the parameters like your client ID, client secret, your username and password. Okay, grant type, we will be keeping it as password for now. There are different grant types as well. We will be initially checking with the grant type as password. Okay, because this is the most basic one. So we will be using grant type as password, and client ID will be the long alphanumeric one which we receive from our connected app. Okay, so we can use client ID. Client secret, again, it will be the big key which you have received, in the which we have seen in our connected app after clicking on uh, manage secret credentials. Next is your username. So I have put my username here, okay, and followed by the password. Okay, so here one thing to note is, let's say if you have access token, security access token enabled in your Salesforce org, okay, then in that case your password used for doing the connection will be your actual password which you give on the login page, followed by the security token which you have received when initially when you are setting up your password. Okay, so I had received recently my security token, so I changed my password, so I received a security token here. So now let's see how your password will be. So my password is, okay, this is my normal password followed by the security token. Okay, and the endpoint where you will be hitting is this endpoint, that is your OAuth services slash OAuth slash token. Okay, so as soon as you will hit this endpoint along with whatever the parameters you are giving, okay, so let's click on this. Okay, so as soon as you hit on this, okay, with the parameter, it provides you a access token. It is again a alphanumeric with some characters into it, some like underscore characters into it. So this is your main token by using which. So basically, what happened here is we initially authenticated the user with the Salesforce server. Okay, and Salesforce server said that okay, this user is authenticated to fetch the data from our system. Okay, so how Salesforce is telling that? So to inform that this user is authenticate, Salesforce has provided an access token to the third party system. Okay, in our case, in the Postman, you will get a access token here. Okay, next, now if you need to do any kind of processing in Salesforce, any kind of extraction of data from the Salesforce, you will be using this particular access token to get the information. Okay, so till here it is clear how we can connect your third party system with the Salesforce. Okay, by using the connected app and the Salesforce user. These two are very much mandatory to connect with Salesforce. Okay, next is, till now we have seen what is connected app, how you can create the connected app. Okay, now next is standard REST API. So what standard REST APIs are? So Salesforce provides some predefined resources or predefined endpoints which you can use which you can use to extract the data, or let's say doing the CRUD operations into it, like create, update, delete, those operations, or if you want to execute any SOQL query in the REST API to fetch the filtered data. Okay, so these are some of the standard REST APIs which has been provided by Salesforce. These are basically predefined resources. Okay, so for utilizing this, you don't need so for utilizing these predefined resources, Salesforce doesn't need to do any kind of further, backend coding or anything. Any third party system who is using the Salesforce system who is connecting with the Salesforce system, they can use the standard REST APIs to fetch the data. Okay, so we will see how you can use the standard REST APIs. Okay, so as you can see here, basically the authentication which we do is OAuth 2.0 along with the HTTP request. Okay, so we will see from the Postman how you can do it. Okay, so first thing is we got our access token here. Okay, next is how you can do the callout. Okay, So in our case, let's say we will be checking with a standard resource. So basically, let's say if you get a requirement that you need to fetch all the accounts, okay, from the Salesforce. Let's say you are a Java-based application and you want to fetch all the accounts from the Salesforce. So in that case, instead of doing any kind of customization in the Salesforce, you can directly use the resources available there. Okay, so how you can use, so for that you have a resource named as data followed by version of the Salesforce. Okay, that is 58.0 or 59.0. So the latest version you can keep, or whichever version from where you want to get the data, you can put that. Okay, followed by as objects slash from which object you want to retrieve all the data. Okay, so I'm let's say giving it as account. Okay, now this is my URL which I need to hit. This is a predefined URL from the Salesforce. Okay, so this is the URL which I'm going to hit, but along with this URL you need to provide the authorization key. So authorization is basically nothing but bearer followed by the access token which we received in our first call out when we were connecting with the Salesforce. So in this call out, we received the access token. Now this access token we will be using in authorization header to when we are connecting with the Salesforce. So we are this informs the Salesforce that okay, this is the authorized request because this is the access token which has been provided by Salesforce only. So Salesforce knows that okay, this is the access token which I provided, and if you are using this to get the data from Salesforce, or then you are a genuine request. Okay, so this is where we will be putting our access token. That is, key will be your authorization. Value is bearer followed by authorization key. Okay. Next is what is your accept. Okay. So in REST APIs, usually we use application slash JSON, and the content type as well. We use application slash JSON. Okay. So this is our very basic call out which you can do as a beginner or as a freebie or as a initial developer or initial Salesforce trailblazer who wants to learn on the integration. Okay, so this is very basic integration process. Okay, so we have already done the connection. Now we are fetching the resource from the Salesforce. Okay, so if I click on send, okay, so you not found the request resource does not exist. Yeah, I think it was my bad. It was not v.58.0, it will be v followed by the version number. And as soon as you click on send, you can see I have received a response that is 200. 200 means my request and response is successful. And now you can see what all informations I have received here. So here you can see in the I have received recent items, that is, and then I have received all the accounts available in my Salesforce org I have received here. Okay, so that is my ID and name which I have received currently here. Okay, now let's say if you want to retrieve only a specific record, okay, in your system. So you let's say you have the Salesforce ID, okay, and you want only the information related to a particular Salesforce ID, okay. Then in that case, what you can do is you can use directly the Salesforce ID to retrieve the information. So let's say in our case, I'll just go to one of the record. I will take this record, and how you can use it in the get request is it will be S objects account followed by ID. Okay, your Salesforce ID. And if you click on send, you can see all the information related to this particular record you can get here. Okay, now now you will be seeing that there are a lot of fields here. If you want only a specific set of fields, that also you can consider, like fields equals whatever name or whatever the API name of the field you give here, only those fields you will retrieve in your request. Okay, that is name and website. Okay, so like this, you can get a specific information as well by using the standard resources which has been provided by the Salesforce. So this is how you can get the resource. Now we will see how you can also create a record in the Salesforce. So to create a record in Salesforce using the REST API, what we'll be using? We'll be using post because we need to now create a record, and URL also we need to change. So URL will be till account. So this will specify that I need to create a record in account. Okay. Next is you need to specify a body here. Okay. So what I'll do, I'll use JSON to create the body. Okay. So okay. So what I am doing here, I am passing in a name attribute with a value in it. Like in my case, only name is required. In your case, if you want, you can put a comma and you can also provide other informations as well. So your first key will be the API name of the field, followed by whatever the value you want to give. So let's say I'll give google.com. Okay. So this is a raw method, and then params we will keep the authorizations, we will keep it, sorry, header we will keep it as same, like the same authorization bearer header. Okay, we will keep the same because same using same access token you can again connect to the Salesforce. And by keeping the post, you are telling Salesforce that I need to create a record. Now you want to create a record, but where? So this is where you are defining that in S object named as account, I want to create a record with this particular body. Okay. Now let's try to send and we'll see what happens. Okay. So now you can see I have received a 201 created. So this means my request is successful. And in response, Salesforce provided me the ID of the record. So let's check this ID. See. So this record has been created with name as whatever we have provided and website as whatever the website we had given. Okay. So this is how you can do the CRUD permission using the standard resources provided by the Salesforce. I have used here account, you can use cases, you can use contacts, whichever or you can even use a custom object as well. So here basically you need to provide the API name of the object. Okay. So this is by using the standard Salesforce REST API. Now we will see how you can do a SOQL query in the Salesforce REST API. Okay, so let's say you know that there is a query by using which you can get a specific record from the Salesforce. Okay, so how you can do that query? Okay, so for example, like in our case, I want to retrieve a record. Let me see. Okay, so this was my request. Okay, so let's say I want to retrieve a record from Salesforce whose name is demo account from Postman. Let's say I don't know any Salesforce ID related to that. So how you can fetch it? So in that case, we will be using query. So we will be using query resource provided by Salesforce. Okay, so this is the format of using the query resource here. Okay, yeah, little bit change here. So it will be like Q equals select plus ID plus name plus from plus account. So basically wherever space is there, you need to put a plus in the query. Okay, from account where name equals, I'll give this. Okay, so what we have done, we have created a query here telling that select ID and ID name from account where name equals my demo account from Postman. Okay, it's a get method actually. Yeah, it's not a post. Mal from query. Yeah, I think there was a small miss which I did. So yeah, so the query will be like select ID, comma name from account where name equals demo account from Postman. Okay. So now if I execute this, you can see that am able to retrieve the information from Salesforce, okay, on the fields which I have specified here in my SOQL query, that is ID, comma name. Okay. Similarly, you can get the information from the related parent object as well by using underscore underscore R. Those are also supported in this particular SOQL format. Okay, so this is how you can perform the SOQL query where you know a specific set of where clauses to inform the specific set of information from Salesforce. Okay, so till now we have seen how you can do a SOQL query in the Salesforce. Now this is where we were using the data. We were extracting the data in the different formats by using, let's say, standard resources or by using the SOQL queries. But let's say if you want to get the information, the metadata information related to any particular object. So in our case, let's say I want to retrieve the metadata information of the account. Then how we can do it? So for that, we'll be using again as objects slash account slash describe. So describe is again a method provided by Salesforce by using which you can get the information about the metadata of the Salesforce, like what all fields are there, what all relationships are there. You can get all those informations by using the describe. Okay, so let's try to hit and we'll see what we get in response. Okay, so here now we got all the information related to the sales, all the information related to account. Okay, so if you see here what we have received, like what is the child relationships available in it, all the list of child relationships we got here. Similarly, there will be information related to the fields which is available on the Salesforce. Okay, so see, we have received all the information related to fields also. What all fields are there, what all relationships are there. So all the metadata related informations you can receive from the Salesforce by using the describe method. So it can be any object. Let's say if it is account. So let's say if I want to get from case, I can just change the name to case and you can get all the information related to case as well. Okay, like whatever the pick list values are there, what values are there in the pick list, all the metadata related informations you can receive. Okay, so in next video, we will see how you can create a custom resource in Salesforce to do a complex operations and how you can call that from the external system. So till then, stay tuned to the channel and please like, share and subscribe to the channel. I hope you like this video and please spread across your friends as well. And soon, we will see you soon with the new video on the integration series. So thanks for your time. Bye bye.